Hey, what's up, everybody? It's BDO44 coming at you with another video. My schedule has changed a little bit. Now I'm going to be working nights, so I'm going to be missing the championship game. How bad of a situation that is, but life is. So you got to keep working, got to keep moving. I'll have the game on tape delay. I'll watch it as best I can on Roku. Hulu, all that good stuff. Free advertising. Congratulations. But anyway, I did watch as much of the game as I was able to last night. Everything but the final, I think, 7 minutes of the game. And what I saw was just a whole lot of AD. As I told one of my friends, this is like a AD commercial. Like, this series is equipped for him to display his his talents. There is absolutely no one down there who can even remotely guard him. And unfortunately for the Heat, unlike the Rockets, they're not healthy. Their best players aren't on the floor. So that makes them look like a Heat without Harden and Westbrook. That's basically what the Heat look like right now. Rockets without Harden and Westbrook, I should say. So at this point, it's like, what do you do? If you're them, I don't know. Pack it up, I guess. I mean, like, when you're small and undermanned, and you have your point guard, your general in Dragic, off the floor with the injury, that type of adjustment, coupled with your lack of size, leaves you at a disadvantage that's too powerful to overcome. I don't think that the Miami Heat were set to win in more than one game healthy in this series. So without Bam being healthy, with the hobbled Jimmy Butler, and without Dragic, there's really not a whole lot to discuss. The Lakers shot 46 threes last night. I thought that was a little much, but at the same time, was it 46 or 43? Somewhere in the high 40s. It was a bit much, but I understand why we did it. We have to attack the zone with the three-point shot. It's really the shot that they're giving us, and since we do have a team full of guys who are capable, I don't see the harm in taking the shots. And we're making enough of them, coupled with the high efficiency of our superstars, to where it's not really even worth talking about. And so that's really where I'm at with this. I think for me, I want to have an entirely different conversation. I want to segue AD's dominance into a conversation that I don't think has really been given enough credence. In my opinion, it hasn't. AD is a top 3 player in the NBA today. Top 3, 1, 2, 3. He is a top 3 player in the NBA today. Did I think of him as a top 3 player in the past? No. And the reason why I'd say no is because of what his team was able to do, and team accomplishments and crap like that. That has nothing to do with who he is individually. And that stops now. He's in the finals. He's bulldozed straight through the playoffs, these bubble playoffs. And he's always been this person. It's not like this is something new. The way he's playing now is the way he played with a bad New Orleans team for 7-8 years. So what we're seeing is just what we already knew, that if you give AD the right talent around him, that you're going to be in the finals. And what he's doing in these finals, obviously against inadequate talent, is exactly what he's supposed to be doing, which is dominate and showcasing all of his moves, basically putting on a display that solidifies what we already know to be a super maximum contract. Now, I'm not saying super max because we don't own those rights to his we don't have those rights as a team that didn't draft him, but what I'm saying is the maximum amount of money that he can possibly get. He's putting his game on display to remind the Lakers and any other suitors that you're getting the best talent in the world, arguably. And I think it's time to start talking about it. One of the things that I heard Isaiah Thomas, the great Isaiah Thomas from the Detroit Pistons, mentioned, I believe it was him who said this a few days ago. If you're a smaller player, you are essentially at the mercy of the bigger player. If the bigger player and you comparable talent-wise, but even if they're not. Why? Because rebounds and putbacks and things of that nature are so important in the game of basketball. Bigs, size matters, man. Size is so important. And right now, it's just showing us that the game has changed. Yet again, small ball does not work, as I told people. It's over. And you need bigs once again. Just like I said at the beginning of the year, you need them. And Anthony Davis is the best one available, period. Simply the best one out there. Offensively, the best offensive big in the world is Nikola Jokic because of his phenomenal passing ability, but he's not even close to affecting as much as AD on the defensive end. It's not. He's in an entirely different category. So that's where they separate from me. Defensively, AD separates from all the bigs because he's the best defensive big in the game, and arguably the best offensive big in the game who doesn't really pass. You know, that's the only thing Jokic has on him. I would definitely say he's better than Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid's not as talented offensively as AD, or defensively for that matter. Karl Towns, same thing. He can't run the floor like AD. He's not as sturdy as AD. He's not as strong as AD. He doesn't have the handle AD. He doesn't have the guard skills necessarily that AD does. So no, you can keep going down the list. Aiden's not developed yet. We don't quite know where he is, but we know he's not the defensive presence that AD is. Like, this just goes on and on and on and on, and I'm just sitting here and I'm saying, man, we were putting people like Steph Curry, smaller player, Kawhi Leonard, smaller player, ahead of this guy, not because of what he does on the floor, but because of what the people around him weren't able to do. You know, that's what it was, because of what he wasn't able to accomplish in New Orleans by himself. But there's no question about whether or not you want this piece on your team before some guy like Kawhi Leonard. I like Kawhi Leonard, but bigger person at the end of the day. You see what AD's doing with his size. If AD was 6'5", we would not be talking like this. He would be a fantastic player, but this would not be the conversation. AD is 6'10", and his wingspan is here to the clouds. So what you're going to have to do in dealing with him is match up with someone big. You can't put a bunch of Kyrie Irving, Steph Curry's, and Chris Paul's on the floor and think you're going to beat an AD. I don't care how talented them little dudes is. At the end of the day, they still little. And that's what the NBA really comes down to. That's what the NBA is showing us right now. That's what it's been showing us for 50 years. It's just that this past era, wanted to get out of that for some reason. But it's time to jump back into that understanding. Bigs matter. Bigger players are more valuable. If you play fantasy basketball and you load your team up with talented bigs, you're probably going to win. That's another thing that I've learned just through trial and error. Yes, you can win with a lot of talented smalls too. But believe me when I tell you, you are more solidified if you fill your roster up with fantastic centers and power forwards. Get you a little point guard that can pass the rock and get you assists and stuff like that, some free throw shooters, some shooters, and load your team up with bigs, and you'll be happy that you did that. I've done it a million times, won a million leagues that way. So that's what it is. It translates to real life too. You just want to have as many big people on the floor as possible. The Lakers have always understood that throughout the small ball era, and we have had championships because we kept bigs around Kobe. You know, Bynum, Powell, Lamar. Those three players were too big for anybody we ran into. And couple that with a Kobe, impossible. The Lakers have reimagined that situation here to a lesser degree with the bigs. And then, of course, the Kobe would be LeBron in that regard. But AD, Dwight, and JaVale, we're just too big for people, man. Too big. And we would have been too big for the Clippers and Kawhi. We would have been too big for Steph Curry and the Warriors without KD. We would have been too big for all these teams, bro. All of them. AD needs his respect. It's time. I believe he's Finals MVP in this series. Although we only threw 2 games, and a lot of things can happen. And LeBron James ain't going to slow down. I know he's going to want to have something to do with that. He's going to want that Finals MVP deep down, I believe. But right now, I'd give it to AD through 2 games. And I think most people would. And I believe he's going to continue to play this way. And he's going to earn it. So this is what I have to say to you guys. I'm very happy as a Laker fan. Obviously, I was complaining at the beginning of this year about the trade. I even said if we win the championship, it may not still mean the best because we could still lose him in free agency. So I'm not going to change my mind on that. But the risk was worth it. I think when we see how it all played out, 2 games away from NBA championship with a team looking back at us that's just pretty much not going to be able to beat us at all. So our championship is here, and it feels pretty good. If AD leaves and we don't win another championship for another 15 years, that's a problem for me. And that was always the point. That was always the point, you guys. And I'm not going to change my mind about that in these circumstances. If he leaves, it's going to suck. But was it a mistake? That's where my opinion changes. I don't think it was. I don't think it was. Nope. Nope. I don't think it was. Only time will tell how great Brandon Ingram's going to be. Only time will tell how good Lonzo Ball will end up. Only time will tell what those picks turn into and if Josh Hart turns into a real player in this league like that. Only time will tell. I think all those guys have potential to be really, really good. And I think we have the potential to regret not having them, but not in place of what we took back. I just don't see it. Even if AD were to do something stupid like go to Chicago, it would suck and my worst fears would have come true. But we also would have tied the Celtics. And that's meaningful. That's meaningful, especially for LeBron James. You want to get the most out of the king at the end of the day. I understood that even then. You had him for a couple years. You didn't want to race the year. That could end up being a championship year that has become a championship year as it's manifest. So sometimes you roll the dice and you win. Sometimes you roll the dice and you lose. In this case, I believe the Lakers have rolled the dice and won. Not only in taking the risk and having a playoff in a championship, but I do believe the player, Anthony Davis, is happy. Everything is pointing toward him wanting to be here and hopefully optimistic about being here long term. I don't believe from a business perspective, locking up for 5 and 6 to 7 years is the best move for athletes anymore. However, I think if anybody were to do so, and it would be all right on both ends, it would probably be Anthony Davis and the Lakers. You can damn well be certain that the Lakers are going to always be in contention if he's on the team. And you can damn well be certain that LA is going to continue to be Los Angeles, and a guy like Anthony Davis is going to want to live here, having been raised in Chicago. He's going to want this sunshine in his life. Where are you going? You know what I mean? That's what it really comes down to. So I would not be surprised to see Anthony Davis sign a 4+ year deal, you know, with an player option in 4 years or something like that. I could see it because at this stage in his career, he's going to want to still have a home. At this stage in his career, he realizes he's winning championships for the greatest franchise in basketball, and he's playing with a player in LeBron James who's could be the greatest human specimen we've ever seen and may still have another 5 years of this at best, maybe even more than that, to be honest with you. If he continues to keep his conditioning, we can continue to monitor his minutes. He's built for carrying teams, and if he doesn't have to, I think that extends his career. With Anthony Davis, I think that extends his career. So as a Laker fan, we couldn't be in a better position, I don't think, without certainty ahead of what's going to happen. We couldn't feel better. And, 2 more games, man. Thank you guys for watching. My name is BDF44. Wow, man. 2 games. Just 2. That's what I got, man. Thank you guys for watching. AD, it's about you, big fella. 2 more.